3 years old, he was a baby, and my eldest son was 7. So goodness knows how long they were being drugged for. But so 7 months for my youngest, 5 for my eldest. It showed it was temazepam, which is a kind of benzodiazepine, which is a sedative, and also a drug called zolpidem, which is a very popular date rape drug. Apparently, it's the date rape drug of choice, or was at that time. I've not looked into it recently, but when I had a look at that drug, when I got the results, there was court cases in America about where this had come out of this date rape drug, this basketball player who had been date rape drugging women, and apparently they choose that because it can enter the body and exit the body very quickly on a urine, so it would be very you'd have a very small window for it to show up on a urine test. Obviously, with hair, it stays in longer. Obviously, it showed up in my son's hair.
And why is it this is important? Because they
Yeah,
accused you, obviously it
yeah,
was in the papers, of doing, and your mum, of drugging the boys, but
yes,
this wouldn't match up with the timeline that you're talking about in terms of the hair growth.
exactly. So what happened then is at the end of the court case, the judge had his finding of fact, and this was March 2017. He started to read out his judgment, and I knew it was going terribly. So I actually fled. I left the room and I ran to hid with my boys. I didn't wait to see what he was saying because I knew I could tell it was going in an absolutely terrible way. So then we're hiding as it's all coming out on the news, and then I find out that they're trying to hunt us down by putting out that They do it in a very clever way. It's very calculated. So they release you as being a missing person, and then they release you as being an abducter, and then once we were then recovered, safely found, that's what they call it, when they prized my screaming son away from me in the middle of the night. My other little boy didn't. Anyway, that was my eldest son. Um, and then and then it was April, and then I get asked into court for this family court. I got released without charge because the police released me without charge because I left halfway through the judgment. I didn't know I'd lost custody when I left. So that's
Right,
why I wasn't
okay.
charged with abducting my own children.
I want to just put us, sorry to keep interrupting, but I know there's some important
Right.
things that and I want to kind of back up what you're saying. You weren't charged with drugging the children, which I believe some of the mainstream
No,
media
or
reported,
arrested. Or
or
arrested.
arrested. You were charged or arrested for drugging the children, which some of the mainstream, I believe, reported at the time you were charged with because you didn't have custody of the children, although as you've just said, you didn't even know that at that point. So this is again another mixing of the information here.
Absolutely. So painting me as a villain. And the way these reporters, or repeaters as I call them, report their information, it's shocking. So that's without hearing my side. It's just the judge read out his summary of events that he wanted to give the press, and then said, by the way, you're now given a reporting restriction order. You're not allowed to report on anything else apart from my findings, what that I released to the public. Which was terrible because they accused me of having a false belief system. So some people in my situation are accused of fabricating, like making the children say certain things. I was accused of having a genuine belief that the boys have been abused, but it was irrational, and this is they call it a false belief system. Um, and then the judge's bizarre theory was that after the police after I knew the police investigation would go no further without a sort of corroborative. Hold on, sorry. I knew the police investigation would go no further without a corroborative piece of evidence. So then I went on the internet, bought date rape drugs, and gave them to my children in mid-December 2014,
So
which is
after.
impossible because we talked about. Well, that was just 3 weeks before the boys' hair samples were taken, just to add it into
Right.
context. So how on earth could all those drugs get all the way to the ends of the boys' hair?